Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Sunday Morning Coffee Lounge Talk. So this is the number 4 of the 4-episode series where we are talking about how our words shape our reality, And in these videos on Sunday 10 a.m., you know that we pick one Bible verse, sometimes 2 verses, and then I share how I relate with them because I'm new, I'm learning, I'm a new Christian. I'm learning, and I also invite you guys, and you don't have to be a Christian for that. You can be from any faith, and you can connect and see how these timeless stories from the Bible connect with your life, because I grew up Hindu, and half of my life I was in India. So if I can connect with these stories, you can connect with them too. And there is so much to learn from these stories, right? So anyway, without further ado, if you want to hear what all I covered in episode 1, 2, 3, they are numbered in the playlist. You can check them out, but today's is the 4th one on speaking, how it makes a difference. It also connects with my framework, which I'm not going to talk about much today. You can see that on my website, Thinking, Speaking, Action, how speaking really shapes the action that we take, and the action that we take is what shapes our reality, right? So today's episode is Speak What Builds, meaning when we speak something, every word is either positive or negative. There's a little ties to if you think of like a frequency, there's like if this is like neutral, right? Or if you think of like a scale, this is 0 and this side is positive, or maybe if you guys are looking from the other side because it gets mirrored when we record it, right? So if you think of this, if this side is negative and this side is positive, this is 0. So any word either falls on the negative side or the positive side. This actually also matches with inner critic and inner coach. So when we speak a word or a sentence or whatever we are talking about, we are either building our inner coach or kind of bringing it down. So I'm going to speak about the verse. So today's verse is Ephesians 4:29. Oh my God, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Ephesians is from the book of Paul, from New Testament. Paul wrote about half of the New Testament. 13 out of 27 books is written by Paul, whose name used to be Saul, and it's not the same Saul from Old Testament, because that was another, I think, 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. So this person who was Saul in the New Testament, who was against Christianity, but then God showed up for him. If you don't know the story, I also learned recently, that's a sharing. God showed up for him. He actually became blind for 3 days, and then God helped him, not getting into the details, and then he started seeing, and then he goes and preaches about Jesus, and then his name becomes Paul. So anyway, Paul wrote 13 out of 27 books. Now volume wise they are not exactly half, but the number wise they are kind of half, like 13 out of 27, right? So Ephesians is one of Paul's book, and in this episodes, like, I am not trying to convert anybody. And why the word control is coming, because in my opinion, again, Christian people think I'm not Christian enough, and people who are not Christian, they think I'm too Christian. I am my own self, right? So I don't try to shrink to fit anywhere. I am who I am. I am authentic. I am living my life authentically, and that's what I teach people on my meetup community and elsewhere. Anyway, long story short, so this is in Ephesians 4:29. Let no corrupt speech proceed out of your mouth. Let no corrupt speech proceed out of your mouth, but only what is good for building others up. But only what is good for building others up, as the need may be, that it may give grace to those who hear. As the need may be, that it may give grace to those who hear. So it's a long one, but the point is, and again, if you are following different versions of Bible, the words might be a little different. I follow WEB, which is the World English Bible, because it does not have any copyright things. If I pick from NLT, it has a copyright issues with my YouTube. I don't know. I don't want to get into trouble. That's why I follow WEB. So the words might be a little different if you look up the Ephesians 4:29 on a different Bible. So the point is, in my meetup community especially, people who are joining, most of them are going through separation and divorce, or some people, job loss. So it is a place where people come together. It's not a group therapy. It is not a group therapy. So I try to make it very clear for people, and I am not a therapist. The reason I say it's therapy is not wrong, but this is not who I am. I'm not a licensed therapist, whatnot. And honestly speaking, I don't want to be. That's not my expertise. Therapy is good, and trust me, I also go to therapists sometimes, depending on the need. Therapists are great. You talk about the past and you process the emotion and you get to the present. But I think the therapy world, again, it's my opinion. Everybody is free to share their opinion. In my opinion, they don't focus, unless you get with some really good therapist, because it's a hit or miss. Anyway, they don't focus so much on the future. So in my case, it's more like a coaching type of thing I do with different fun games and activities. I teach my framework and other things where it is, I say it is 80% future focused, 80% future focused, because sometimes the old things would come up. We would help them to process, but how you make your rest of your life better, it is all about that. So why I share how that part resonates with this in this verse is because because in my community, it is very easy for people to slide to the past, meaning, oh, this happened with the ex did this, the ex did that, because we are wired that way as a human being. 75% or sometimes even 95% our mind is, because it's the survival instinct, right? Our mind is wired to think and speak, unless you slow down the speaking, which I cover on episode 1. If you want, you can see that. That's a James verse. Thinking is like running on 75% or 95% on autopilot, which is negative. This is a human thing. This is not you and I think. This is a human thing, because our survival instinct is trying to save us, and that is why the negative pattern is going on. But then we slow down, we start speaking more positive, and then our future becomes positive. So when people start doing that, I gently, and this is because I have been doing this for a while, I gently steer the conversation, and the word gently is very important. I gently steer the conversation to the future, because you don't want to tell people that, okay, this is not a group where we say bad things about our exes, because that's done. That's in the past. That's a rear view mirror. The windshield is all about you. So in the past, if this happened, in the future, I can. In the future, I can. In the future, X is not there unless you're bringing the thought of the X with you, right? So in the future, what can I do differently? If the same thing happened with your ex, with another person you pick, they have nothing in common, they don't know each other, but some of the things can be similar, because some of the things can still trigger you, because we get triggered with the similar things in our thought. It's not necessarily the people, it's two different people, but the same things could happen. Now, how we react, that is what can be learned, right? That is part of the reinvention. Two same situation, but when we act negatively here, but when we respond positively, that's what changes our life, right? So that's why it's like, this is because my meetup community, it's new. It's been only 8 months. We have several events. People come. So, the speaking that we are using, even in the community, that is shaping the culture, that is shaping the community. And I know that, people will come and go, because some people would want to, depending on where they are in their journey, some people would want to keep talking about that. But that probably is better suited in therapy, versus here we gently steer the conversation to the future, how we can grow from it. And that is how, because the whole thing is about, because there are different type of meetup community and stuff like that, but I look at it, keep building each other's up. So keep talking about the good stuff, what we can do, what we can learn. And again, we won't be perfect. There will be some missteps from people, even from me. But the whole point is the overall conversation should be going to the future focused, and something that how we can grow together and all of that. So that's why I say, Ephesians 4:29, let no corrupt speech proceed out of our mouth, but only what is good for building others up. So I connect this with literally with my meetup group, as the need may be that it may give grace to those who hear, right? Because in my life, my friends, I really truly believe that it is God's grace. It is God's grace, and grace is what they say. It's the undeserved grace that, like, after everything fell apart, and I cannot expect or imagine this life in my wildest dream. That it's the peace, it's the joy that I have learned to live with, and it's the love. You can call it self-love, or the love that is love, the compassion, the kindness. When I pray for people, it is a different mindset altogether that I could not even fathom a couple years ago, or even in my I say prior life, almost like earlier in my life, because this is the undeserved grace that for me, that God pulled me out of the pit. God pulled me out of the pit, and I don't know how much of it will make sense to you, because I know God is still writing my story, and you don't have to be Christian to make sense of all of this, because in different religions there are things like that. It's like the other day, it was yesterday, I think, after I was done with gym, I was coming back driving, and I was listening to this sermon, and it was like they were saying that but you don't have any data to prove, right? Because science requires data to prove, but you don't have data to prove, but that there is something else that is guiding your path, and that is how I feel. So again, going back to, if the framework, self-help stuff is what resonates with you more, use the speaking. This is the 4-episode series that I created. So the first one was James, the second one was hold on, I'll tell you the second one. First one was James, second one was Proverbs, third one was Matthew, and the fourth one was Ephesians. So we are going to finish this series with that, emphasize on the speaking, because speaking is what is going to keep feeding your inner coach, and it is going to change your life for the better, my friends, for you and all the people around you, your family, your friends, your kids, your coworkers, your bosses, everything. And I'm not just saying it for you, I do it myself too. Again, you don't have to be perfect, just do when you remember, just catch yourself, right? Either if you are if you start once a month, once a week, if you do once a week, let's say, okay, Sunday is the day, Sunday afternoon, I'm going to speak only positive, right? Even if you do that, you do it only for, 10 minutes, every Sunday, 2 p.m., 10 minutes, I'm going to speak positively. After a few weeks, it will become a habit, and that is going to change your life. I'm a living proof, my friends. You can watch the videos from 2024 playlist, 2025 playlist. I emphasize so much because I feel so passionate about it, because it changed my life. It is a living, breathing thing for me, because it did not come from self-help totally. Yes, some of these things, like this rich quadrant, I used to have this ideal life that I had a little bit differently done. It was 2019 when I first came up with it, but after everything fell apart, I changed it to this because that made more sense. But we're not going to cover this here. But the point is, because today's is all about speaking, and remember the thing that I talked about, I can't remember if it was in this episode or the other one. Oh yeah, it was the third one. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So people will know about you only the words. It's like an iceberg, 1/10 what we speak, right? And whatever our heart is feeling, the overwhelm feeling that we have, that is what is going to come out, right? So sometimes it's about slowing down. When we slow down, the word that we speak is different. It's more positive, and that creates more positive action, right? So with that, I'm going to finish this. And again, come back every Sunday, 10 a.m. We pick 1 or 2 verses and connect with my story, and share your story too. And please do share it with others if you find this helpful. Okay, take care. Bye.